I can't live with or without you. Come to think of it, what the fuck is Bono talking about exactly? I can't live with or without you? Who's he talking about exactly? Some ex who's swallowed but grays from time to time? Can I get a holla? We're making fun of the Charles Bukowski inspired $1 billion poet from Dublin who's not as deep and sophisticated as he's tricked the world into believing all the time. Holla! Joshua Tree is still awesome though. I can't live with or without you sounds like Bono singing about Brexit. Assuming he cares about leaving a London behind for his kids, minus the acid attacks and hate speech police, which would have thrown his god Bukowski in jail for calling Dylan overrated. It's me at home, wife. What do you think of my Brazilian blowout? Do it all, dad, that being me, replies. It would be hotter if you adorn your head with a peacock feathered headband and a bedazzled G-string, assuming we met at Mardi Gras before banging out 3 kids together. Hey now. Parking garage, New York City, garage guy. I have to charge you $15 extra because your car takes up so much space. Do it all, dad replies. It's a regular sized SUV. Just tell me child tax breaks don't apply in New York City ever. Not too long ago, I remember my dad, for some reason, boasting about the fact that I had chew marks in my crib after they moved from the Queens apartment to suburbia. And at the time, I said to my dad, hey, Dad, did it ever occur to you that the gnaw marks on my crib were there? Because at the time, I was fucking starving to death. I'm also convinced that everyone from who either grew up in the Bronx or Queens, who fell in love, had an apartment, and then made that upgrade to either Yenta Country in Long Island or Westchester County here in New York. They did that move not for the good schools, just so their children could have a room upstairs so they could cry it out. So the muffled moans of despair were far easier to bear. Can I get a holla? For an old school premise that was revitalized at the post office. I don't remember the exact stimulus, but at least you guys are able to enjoy the A+ Gemery. Long time. Holla! Yeah. And the property taxes. I'm sure after our parents actually did the math involving the property taxes and how much it would cost in 15 years to keep the home, so their children could go to fancy, overrated public schools with tenured professors who, force you to, memorize, once upon a time, a midnight dreary. Yet in the end, all that teacher ever got was, more rejection letters from the New Yorker. But after realizing 15 years after the fact, after they got to schlep over the GW their entire life, so they could be nickeled and dimed by Potomka Pickle, and for my mom to commute to the city to work for JP Morgan Chase, so they could develop artificial intelligence to give loans to any schmuck with a pre-card cell phone plan, causing a near world economic collapse without our government printing TARP money like fucking toilet paper. I'm sure if they knew all that ahead of time, that they, considering the amount of shit they had to endure, despite being employed during the cushiest economy, post-Carter years, out pre 9/11 and dot-com implosion. Besides all that, I'm sure our parents, in retrospect, after crunching the numbers, would say to themselves, you know what, Carol? This being my dad, instead of taking a home equity loan out of the home to send our kid to boarding school because he decided to, do drugs all the time and do his best Robert Downey Jr. impersonation from Less Than Zero before actually seeing it here in the East Coast. Instead of that, I think it would have been better if we would have forked down the cash for self-defense lessons and just fed him to the wolves at public school in New York City instead. Can I get a holla? For finally getting to my point, but never rushing, because I knew there was golden funny at the end of the rainbow. Holla! Thank you very much. I realize, Doodle Dad Nation, that joke came across as very coastal elitist, and I'm not going to apologize for it, but I do recognize that the material could have come across as a tad insular. Maybe a tad too pretentious for your taste. But then again, every parent could, identify, with the need to obviously, get your kids in good schools and to prevent them from having the shit kicked out of them on a regular basis. So, we're going to have to hear this podcast later to see if I'm sounding more pretentious than I think. So anyway, back to the garage guy back in New York City. Took the kids to Central Park that day. It wasn't too long ago. And so I'm talking to the garage guy. He's parking in New York City. He's like, forget about it. Spend all day looking for spots. So again, garage guy says, I have to charge you $15 extra because your car takes up so much space. And I said, how much more? He goes, $15. I said, $15 extra for the SUV? But Planned Parenthood gets public funding for the killing of future fossil fuel consumers? Let's just write off this family man tax as a robotic, automated, you're not really reaping the rewards of white privilege so much anymore tax. Holla! They should rename the Great Hill in Central Park to an abandoned putting green on the upper part of Central Park where cat ladies roam. Not too long ago, Trump had canceled. Remember when Trump canceled that meeting with the Taliban? Because a decade worth of nonstop violent aggression against non-aggressors only concedes terrorism will never end for them until the Taliban stops fucking. Sean Penn wrote a novel about Trump not too long ago. It was about Trump not winning the presidency again, called Hope Bullshit Floats Sam. Yeah, not surprised one bit about like the sampling of jokes I read from the Alec Baldwin roast, like way after the fact. Basically, the translation is the jokes by Jeff Ross and Carolla prove that they were the actual like hilarious comedians in that room among all the lesser hacks in attendance. So this is Jeff Ross roasting Alec Baldwin. Kim Basinger hates Alec Baldwin so much she's willing to audition for the remake of The Coal Miner's Daughter. Then Trump can boast, I made Kim beautiful with a bunch of shit on her face. Can I get a holla for always nailing the innate hilarity of our president in the United States? Holla! So this is us back in Central Park. Let's do it all, Dad. There's a lemonade stand. My kids got all excited. So I approach his lemonade stand. There's a dad there. I said, is this your lemonade stand? The Manhattan dad says, but it's for a private birthday party. And I reply, but you can only afford to have a birthday party in an open border park open to all? Designed by Frederick Olmsted himself a gazillion years ago. I thought your daughter could use some new shoelace money. My bad. It's me at Target. My son says, Barbie. Doodle Dad says, you'll have ample opportunity to play with real-life Barbies when you get older. Dad already plans on stuffing your backpack in junior high with pre-poundage consent release forms. Random grandma standing next to me with their own granddaughter laughs. Long time! So this is Linda Sarsour endorsing Bernie Sanders for president. I know a self-hating Jew when I see one. I'm the face of modern Islam because I grew up in Brooklyn, remember? I'm surprised he doesn't demonize his domineering mother more than Israel, if you ask me. Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but for all you new fans listening in, Fake news pro Colin Kaepernick. I call him fake news pro because have you ever seen a biracial afro that large before? Slash from Guns N' Roses gave it a shot, and he was a total flop. Lenny Kravitz, another biracial famous entertainer, was never able to make his fro bounce that way. And one time, I saw a picture with Colin Kaepernick, fake news pro, and Linda Sarsour. She's considered like the moderate face of Islam because she's got a cute face, and she grew up in Brooklyn. Yet she still promotes Sharia law and has never condemned the practice of chopping off a female clitoris. So after learning all this, and I saw a picture of Colin Kaepernick with Linda Sarsour, I'm thinking to myself, dude, that is an awful look. You might as well be wearing a mutilated clit on your fro, bro. Can I get a holla for taking my time for more fake news fro blasts for the ages that aren't losing their oomph, impactfulness. Holla! It's a piece called Moving Beyond Carnitas Tacos. Salmon trout, a future chapter in my third book to be released eventually called Better Than Booby. Food rants, one bit at a time. Salmon trout doesn't belong in tacos, okay? As Dennis Leary would say, okay? Salmon trout doesn't belong in tacos, okay? It belongs on a buffet station at your hotel in Norway next to a bowl of capers, pickled herring, and 1,000 types of room temperature regulated brie. As overtly fagula as that sounds. Salmon tastes better rolled up in rice or sandwiched between bagel bread and New York made cream cheese because we're more demanding bitches to please. White corn tortillas are alright, but the sugary white part tones down the corny earthiness. It's like Kelly Ripa writing jokes for Jeff Foxworthy. White corn tortillas are like George Lopez. You know George Lopez wants to be loved by white America, but not enough to refrain from injecting toppings of Spanish into his act for a realer earthiness, Holmes. Saute black bean tacos in butter, farm fresh plucked orange green peppers, red onion with bulbs of whole garlic swirled in it, with homemade chunky red tomato salsa on top, is veggie supreme bliss, mang. Like I said in Spanish, I would. Fried cod used in fish tacos, draped in chipotle or avocado crema, along with crunchy purple slaw eaten at Padres games, with Padres the best. Salmon trout used in fish tacos with pineapple salsa that took longer to make isn't. If you're going to make pineapple salsa, at least be man enough to cut a pineapple yourself, because using the pre-cut kind means you're being a half-ass homo about going all the way with it. If you make your kids tacos at home, your kids can't be accused of xenophobia at school because they learn fear of making Mexican eccentric cuisine at home. Making two different types of salsa means you've got too much free time in your hands between mommy coming back from leading her new mommy meet at group already. If you suck at rolling joints, chances are your taco rolling skills won't be so tight either. Come to think of it, a filter to block the salsa from falling out would be handy though. This is the Do It All Dad Year podcast. Dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Controlling our kids' economy can make our kids great again. And I'll talk to you guys soon.